him take my soul. Nah, 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 no. Oh, I can't let him take my soul. Nah, 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 no. See, we was cool right before it hit the fence, but it hit the fan when I got him down at the bench. But I took a break, I had to leave and go get cleansed. God forgive me for all my sins. I can't take these hoes, cause my last name ain't Kent. Cooking on the stove, that's the way he paid the rent. Working on the pole, that's the way she paid tuition. Better watch your soul, cause you know they trying to get it. Yeah, yeah. I learned my right from wrong on a song. I let my heart bleed on my sleeve through microphones. I'm trying to right my wrongs by writing out my wrongs. Ran through a check, cause it's hard to live off bread alone. So if you see me slipping, yeah, let me know. Cause it ain't the end of times yet, I know, but it's getting close. Yeah, I need my space to breathe.
Hey family, what's happening? Good evening, everybody. We're in for a little treat tonight. I'm gonna need your help. I know some of you can send questions, but later on, if you catch the show later, send me what some of your suggestions and your thoughts are. Tonight, I'm gonna talk about how do we bring our people closer to justice. We know we have tons of problems in the Black community. What are some of the strategies and solutions that we can use to help us get closer to justice? The first thing I think we can do, first of all, let me start with my regular intro, which is I'm here to do 3 very simple things. That is to listen, learn, and to teach. And I hope we all do that every day. Listen, learn, and then teach. The trades, if our young people get focused on working with their hands, but we have to be careful because some professions can be replaced by robots when they use their hands. But a toilet is a toilet. You cannot replace that with a machine. So if we can get our young people into roofing, masonry, welding, plumbing, again, the building trades, boilermaker, elevators, heavy equipment, if we can get our young people to get focused on careers like that, even barber, something where you're working with your hands, you can always find work. That's transferable. Also, city government, I think that's super duper, duper, duper important. If you are married or emotionally attached to land where you live, your family, generations, it's good to be involved in on a city hall level. So jobs like city inspectors, dispatchers, permitting, zoning, ordinance, of course, police and fire. If our young people could keep your noses clean, get in the police department, just flood them with cadets to the academy. They can't turn us all away. The more Black police we have on the ground, the better we can manage each other. They can help us manage, we can help them manage, and hopefully we can cure some of police brutality. All right. Tax offices, tax sales offices, tax assessors, inspectors. Now just imagine they're going to build a new Wawa, my favorite coffee, in an area that they deemed blighted, right? It's been sitting for a minute, not quite barren, but blighted. You discover through working in this area or arena or going to your city hall meetings that this is going to happen in about 90 days. They're going to break ground, right? Because it's already been approved. Well, what are you going to start doing? You're going to start telling your family and friends, hey, this area over here, they're about to start selling these properties. You can get them dirt cheap. Buy the land if it's barren. They're preparing to do this. If you find out things just like they do, we can involve our people, get in low, and get some good asking prices for land or property. Some other areas that I think we should penetrate: real estate, teaching. Teachers, not all, but teachers sadly today are there for the paycheck. We've heard TikToks and Instagrams and boom, boom, boom of teachers saying just that. I got mine already. I'm here for my check. So if we can penetrate that area, lending, right? Mortgages, working on that, getting back into the arts, appraisers, even park and recreation. There are areas there that we could penetrate to help give our people, for example, where in the county that I lived, I won't say the name, but there was a park that had, of course, a doggy park, soccer. Soccer also can be used as football, tennis, a track, and basketball, right? Then they reclaimed some land across the street, rebuilt, not rebuilt, but built this beautiful, beautiful park. They did not put up a basketball court. You don't think that was by design? They put up a soccer field. Couple soccer fields, baseball, things like that we can get involved in, right? Hotel restaurant management. You may find out that a certain convention or seminars are going on. Have your friends come and ear hustle the spook that sat by the door, get a free lesson in something. Human resources, mental health, something that's very near and dear to my heart. That would be a great, great, great area for our people to penetrate and affect change. Hmm? What is this? Doulas, two doulas. Unfortunately, many sisters don't make it out of the hospital when they deliver. You can look up the numbers. I don't know exactly what they are. At my mom's funeral, I shared about end of life, EOL doulas. Just like bringing life into the world is beautiful, ushering a life out of this sick society into their next phase of life, into their beautiful ancestor role, is also beautiful. Also beautiful. When we find out that it's close, it's close. End of life doulas are called in, and they're not asked to perform no medical duties. They're not there to help the family while they run out to nope, nope. They're only there for that patient to sit bedside with them and to keep them company and perhaps just talk, chop it up. If you are a person of faith and they agree, have conversation, have prayer. If they, are of sound mind, of course they can still hear you. We know hearing is the last thing to go. So yeah. If we can get more doulas. I know birth doulas have a hard time getting certifications and things like that. Even having babies, not just at home, but in birthing centers, they give you a hard time with, social security things and what kind of injections these children need to have before they leave the birthing center or at home. So there's a lot of study that we can put into that so that we can go back to what our ancestors did, even have our children in sitting positions, which is very natural. Just like, when we do a number two, we should be more in a sitting position, right? Um, Jury duty. Here's some responsibilities that I think the Black community can do and to take seriously to affect change. Jury duty. It's very easy. You simply agree to go. They'll tell you when to show up. You go, do your thing. They'll pay for your parking. Your job must honor it. Just like if you're in the military and you go away for your 2-week assignment, they must must. I don't care if you are a surgeon or have any other role that is considered crucial or essential. That's a new word they apply to very important jobs during COVID. Doesn't matter. Your job must honor it. And I don't know if they've gone up, but the whole time that I've done it, the last time was probably about 10 years ago. You still only get that $5 for a sandwich or something like that. But it's okay. You're serving your community. And unfortunately, because there's so many of us that go through that process, through the court process, it would be nice for the juries to look like the defendant. It would be nice. So stop trying to get out of jury duty. I believe with your driver's license and voter registration, those are the pools that they pull from. I believe there could be more. I don't know, but those are the two that I know for sure that they pull from when it's time to serve in those areas. Also, yesterday I got online and I asked those questions. What can we do to affect some change? And someone also said, Lori, it starts with me, and it's true. It starts with us. We know it's kind of corny, the man in the mirror with Michael Jackson, but it's true. Each family, one kitchen table at a time. We can go around and affect change right there, and then neighbor to neighbor to neighbor. And we really and truly, we cannot solve and fix all of our problems in our community, but we can certainly uncover some of the ills in our community. Asking the question why, not how. We know we got here. We're here. This is where we're at. Section 8, welfare, generations of living in the projects, getting our homes appraised for thousands of dollars less than those that don't look like us. Little things like that. We know what it is. How do we prevent that from happening? Well, if we have more appraisers out there, right? Because I know some of us, we will hide family pictures. When buyers come to look around and they see a Black family or a family of color, that drives the price down right there. Or that certain buyers, they're not interested. So these are the tricks that we have to do. But if we can get around that by having tons of real estate agents and appraisers help give fair appraisals, we can stay in the game and sell our homes and get fair market value. Is this excuse me. There's some other things we need to discuss, or I will discuss a little bit later. Can y'all tell I'm nervous? Yes, I am. Please walk with me. The producer, I tell him that all the time. I haven't been doing this forever. Just walk with me. Give me a moment to get myself together. I know. You see me shuffling papers, Julius. Bear with me, please, please, please. Gifts. Let's talk about gifts when we attend weddings, baby showers, graduations. You may have more and more suggestions that I do, but one of the things I thought was really, really cool, and I got some confirmation from the others in one of our previous podcasts, and that is the baby is born. How about instead of a bunch of diapers, because we know they're going to get diapers from other people. Hello, Bernard. How about we open life insurance? Oh, that's a good one. Banquet halls and event spaces. Yes, I'm going to go back to that. How about we offer life insurance? We get the information from the child won't be born yet, but we can still make the promise and the commitment that we will start life insurance for this child. I remember when I was coming up, every year I can count on my godfather giving me bonds. Uncle Charlie, he would give me bonds every year. It would have either my mom's social security number on it or it would have mine. We're going to take a quick break. I'll be right back. Think of some questions for me, please, and throw them in the comments. See you soon.
Hey there. Are you ready to amplify your voice and embrace your passion? Tune in to Our Black Media Network, where community comes first and every story matters. We're here 24/7, delivering powerful content on everything from financial literacy to the latest in sports and mental health. We are unapologetically real, reflecting the heartbeat of our community with programs that inspire, empower, and drive change. Join us on all major media platforms to celebrate our unique voices and advocate for the change we want to see. With over 50K monthly viewers, our network is your go-to destination for authentic, engaging content. Be a part of the movement. Be a part of the change. Tune in to Our Black Media Network today and let your voice be heard.
Need your garments cleaned with care and with a professional touch? Then bring them to One Price Cleaners in Garden City at the Old Farmers Market on Highway 80. Service you can count on.
What's happening, family? Welcome back. One of our viewers said that we should have more banquet halls and business venues. I agree with that. I had that conversation with Julius, I don't know, 10 days or so. That most of us have been in our communities for generations. Why are we still using their facilities? Their facilities. Why? Okay, what does that mean? That means we have to go back to the old days when we had less resources, but we trusted each other more. How does that happen? Where do we lose that trust? Where $5 here, $10 there. I'm sure you can go in your community if you still live in a historical Black community. I can go into my old community. I can look around here in Savannah, almost in every Black community, where some of those churches were built with little or nothing. Our people back then had much less, and I'm not talking about inflation numbers. I'm just saying they have they had more faith back then too, but they had much less and did so much more. When did we lose that? When did we lose that trust in one another? If we can get back to that, where we can have our own spaces. I know we rent out some churches that have fellowship halls, Prince halls, and those are great. Those are great. But if we can have just very nice halls where we could host great venues and rent them out to each other. Others do it. Let's go back to something that I thought. Someone talked about ensuring the matriarch of the family. Once you hit a certain age, life insurance almost becomes moot. It's going to be so expensive, especially if you have pre-existing conditions. It's going to be so expensive. It's almost not worth it. The younger you are, the better. I think it would be a great idea. Again, if we get each child that's born, or even any child, really, any child, get them insured. It would be great when our young people get married and we can offer them a gift of, let's say, 5 years. We will pay your premium for life insurance on the value of your home or the value of your loan. This way, if either one of you pass, which you should have life insurance on each other, but it would be our gift to them, right? After 10 years, you manage it yourself. But if you should lose one of your spouses or partners or mates, all insurance is, whether it's a car, a diamond ring, property, it's to make you whole. They're not going to pay you more than what it's worth because you have gold doors. They're not going to do that unless you get them insured individually. They're going to give you fair market value for the dwelling, the building, and the dirt. That's it. But at least you don't walk away with nothing, right? So yeah, I think those are great ideas if we can learn to re-gift our young people that are starting out. I'm going to move on from that. There are other financial products that we can offer to our young people. I'm not well versed on that. My sisters are. I didn't get that bug. But I'm sure there's someone in your family, in your circle, that can help our young people learn these things to bring us again closer to justice. The more money you have, the more choices you can make. Okay? And living in their neighborhoods is not always the right choice. Not always the right choice, especially sending our children to PWIs or private schools. I've heard horror stories about some of our children being damn near tortured and being in these institutions, because that's what it is, where they have been abused. I can go on and on, but I won't do that. Police involvement. How can we avoid that? Okay, don't do like I did last week and drive past police when their lights are on and they're doing business. That's new to me. Never heard of it. It did not get me out of the ticket. The lady did say, because you were kind and you didn't know, I'm going to write half fine on here. Thank you for that. You're young. $40,000 life insurance is $14.80. That's true if you're not a smoker and if you have no pre-existing condition. Also, we need to learn to teach our young people the difference between life insurance, term life and whole life. Whole life is the one you can borrow off of. It's almost like your own bank, almost like your home becomes your own bank if you do it right. But things like keeping your car maintained, your lights, of course, blinkers and all that. Excuse me. Don't speeding. Don't give the police, young Black people in particular, do not give the police any reason to have to pull you over. If it says 25 miles an hour and it's blinking in a school zone, go 22. Because at any moment, any police interaction, I don't even have to say it, you all know what could happen. In this city, I think I read today, there have been 50 police involved. How do we say it? To protect the when life is lost, right? Unaliving. 50. That's a problem. That's a problem, especially when I can almost bet most of them were not justified. I can almost bet that. I learned a quote the other day, and if you can't already tell, something that's near and dear to my heart is who I'm looking at right now and who you see right now, and that's Black people. I take that very seriously. But sometimes being Black can make you sick. And by that, I mean mental illness. It is a sickness. Alcoholism, it is a sickness. Any kind of drug abuse. It could be anything like spraying aerosol. Any addiction is a problem, and a lot of us self-soothe. um, we may not know the problems might be, oh, because my child is this, or oh, because I'm a victim of a domestic violence, or oh, because my parent was an addict, it was passed on to me, which is valid, not automatically, but you have that bug in there, and it takes just some kind of trauma to light it, to flip that switch. But what we also do not realize is, because of the ills of racism, white supremacy, and they are the same. Racism / white supremacy, RWS, they are the same. Because of so many ills that our people endured and experienced, a lot of that trauma is still, it's in our blood. It's in our DNA. My sisters say, Lori, you have daddy's hands. A young lady that I went to school with, she said, Lori, when I would look at you, I would count your freckles when we were in school. I got those from my dad. Thank you. But guess what? I also have his trauma. I have the trauma of my grandfather, and so on and so on and so on. And so do you. Anyone who is a Stop Bernard, a foundational Black American, and you can trace your family lineage to the 1870 census here in this country, because we weren't considered citizens in 1865 when slavery was over. They started counting us in the census because we were property. Don't forget, what's the first stock in the stock market in New York City? We were the stock. They still have the jails and the holding cells downstairs in the basement. Thank you, Bernard, for getting your daughter life insurance. Give me 3 things you should tell a Black man to do when he gets stopped by a police. Hands on the steering wheel, 10 and 2. If you have an opportunity to get your wallet out, do that. But don't, make sure they don't get nervous with you reaching, or if you don't have time to do that, keep your hands on 10 and 2. Keep your mouth shut. Don't start that. I don't answer questions. I don't answer questions. Get your supervisor. I don't answer questions. You can play that game if you want to, but just know you're giving them reason to amp up. Make sure your headlights are good. Okay, Miss Lady, take a deep breath. You got this. Thank you for your vote of confidence. I appreciate that. Yes. If you're coming in late, we're talking about gifts, things that we could do for our young people, life insurance, on both either the new children or the younger children, on their homes as gifts, right? We're also talking about how we as a group can penetrate our immediate surroundings. That's Bernard, I'm sure. Our immediate surroundings, as far as where we pay taxes, the water that we drink, the mayor that runs our city and the city council, and all of that. How do we find out what's happening on the ground? We penetrate the police and the fire departments, the civic associations. We penetrate real estate, tax office, tax assessors, the trades, all of the building trades. We learn about construction so that we can be on those sites and we find out what's going on. Get into DEP, DEP, the Department of Environmental Protection. Get involved in all of that kind of stuff so we can see what's happening in our immediate areas. We also talked about tonight police involvement. Before I move on to that, someone mentioned having our own venues. That is super duper important. Many of us have been in our communities for generations, and I'm going to call out churches on this. But we have to use their banquet facilities. That's the sin and the shame. Someone would probably say, well, Cozeee, what are you going to do about it? I can't. But collectively, we can try and figure it out. If our people did it back then, we could do it again, especially here in this beautiful city, Savannah, which had a very strong economic floor. But it was busted up by putting in two highways, Route 16 and the Truman Parkway. When Eisenhower came up with the Highway Act and some other act, when they started to build interstates across the United States. Of course, the ones that go east and west are even, like Route 80. For me, coming up in Jersey, will take you all the way to California. And north and south are odd numbers, 95, 75, 85, 65, boom, boom, boom. They came up with that. But one of the designs, you'll have to look this up. Write this down for me, please. The King Arthur Plan. King Arthur Plan. And that's using the highway system for military purposes. Go back to Katrina. And some of our people were trying to get to higher ground and they were crossing that bridge. I don't know the name of the bridge, but all I remember is seeing this. And our people had to make an about face and go right back down to where the crisis was. So, bridges, highways, interstates, they drove them specifically through Black, strong economic areas to bust it up. We all know what happened after that. Integration, which was the Achilles heel. Oh, that destroyed Black America. Integration destroyed Black America. How do we reverse that? Well, we can't separate ourselves from schools. We can't separate who sits at Walmart and who doesn't. Not necessary to even do all of those things. Have our own shit. I'm calling out you, Magic Johnson. We love and appreciate that you have magic theaters. Great. We love entertainment. It's something else to keep us dumb and numb and not paying attention to what's really going on in DC. But thank you for the offer. We appreciate it. But since you know, Shaq, instead of having Papa John's, who is a strong Republican white supremacist, admittedly he is, how about we take some of those dollars, young men, and do and place in our neighborhood some of the things that you know we spend tons of money on. You can't get Black women and men to see how valuable we are in our natural hair. Okay, so this was bought maybe at the Asian place, but give me a break. I'm trying. No perm, no chemicals, boom, boom, boom. Unfortunately, it's hard to get our young people to see just how beautiful they are and how foolish they look wearing bone straight hair. If we could get them to build back their confidence, you know how many businesses are going to shut down? Do you know how many businesses are going to shut down? The ones that can't get past that, let's say those that suffer from alopecia and things like that, cancer survivors, they need that. And we understand that and we get that. We can still have those things where the Oprahs of the world and all of that. If Mike Epps could come back and buy up his neighborhood, if T.I. could come back and buy up his neighborhood, which is a great thing. I think Rich Homie Quan, somebody did that. Killer Mike does that. He and his wife, they have barbershops and all that. Can you put some nail salons, even if you do a franchise where other Black people can buy into it? How about some nail salons? Because you know Black women enjoy that. Men too. I've been in the shop many times seeing our brothers getting manicures and pedicures. They should. You got to keep yourself healthy. If you look good, you feel good. Why not? Help us with little things like that. Although what may happen is they might get sabotaged. For example, I just showed 3 women that came in yesterday. I do Uber sometimes. And I was showing them parts of Savannah. I said, I want you ladies to see something and how we get sabotaged in business. The story that I heard was there was a black man and other black people who were not allowed to use the theaters downtown. Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm trying not to look at the comments anymore because I get thrown off. But thank you. Could not use the theater, the movie theater. This is the story that I've heard. I could be wrong. So what did he do? Just like the black man that was not allowed to play on the golf course, they built their own. They built their own. But with the movie theater, guess what happened? A.G. Gatson, same thing happened to him. You can look him up. The distributors found out it was a black theater, and guess what they did? Stop sending the films. There are some black women who started beauty stores. Hold on to that thought. We have to take a break. See you soon. Keeps.
Hello, I'm Richard Coleman, and I'm running for the office of Sheriff of Chatham County. And when I'm elected, I promise to inspect what I expect. Chatham County, it's time for a change, and that change is me, Richard Coleman.
Join us for an unforgettable Caribbean cruise in June 2025. Hey there, are you ready for an adventure? Our Black Media Network is hosting an amazing Caribbean cruise, and you're invited. What's in store? 5 days of fun on the high seas. Join us for a fantastic getaway filled with parties, workshops, and opportunities to connect with your favorite show hosts. Network and connect. This isn't just a cruise. It's a unique opportunity to meet like-minded individuals, network with industry professionals, and make lasting memories. There's something for everyone. Don't wait. This is your chance to be a part of something special. For more information, reach out to our staff or your favorite show host. Book your spot today and let's make waves together in June 2025. You don't want to miss this.
Hey family. Okay, we are back. I'd like to take this time and ask the engineer, the producer, to do me a favor and put up a comment at a time slowly, and then we'll attack it like that, because I'm not that good. I'm not well versed at this, so if I can get one comment at a time, you choose which ones, and we'll attack it that way. This show is only an hour long, everybody, so we gotta get in and get in hard. And before he does that, or while he's doing that, I love quotes. I sit here at this dining room table and I keep a pen in my hand. I have several notebooks, big, small. Look, I even have napkins. I'm always writing. I will write on matchbooks, anything I could find. Oh, even my mother's curtains. Lori, did you write on these curtains? No. Lori was here. Anyway, let's start with these questions. Oh, one of the can you please leave that up for me? One of the quotes that I wrote down that I heard is, as far as our childhood, we're talking mentally, emotionally, and neurologically. Childhood, whatever goes in first goes in the deepest. Childhood, 0 to 7. Our formative years are 0 to 5. 0 to 7. What goes in first goes in deepest. Some of us are 58, 62, 99, still dealing with issues or trauma that has not been addressed or not been addressed effectively, where that person can see it, grab hold of it, manage it, and not be affected by it. Doesn't mean it's going to go away. If you have a scar, it's not going away. I have scars on me. I could tell you what each one of them meant. They're not going away. And sometimes that's a good thing. It could be a reminder of where you've come from and how you were triumphant over it. Okay, Bernard Brown says, there's a lot of Black people doing great in the Black community and not celebrity. That's what we need to focus on. Yes, we don't always need to call on our big money makers, because even they can be compromised and not allowed to empower us on a street level. Okay, so we do have to be careful with that. But there's $10, $20 here and there. If we can take these things seriously, doesn't take one person to do a whole lot. It takes a whole lot of us to do one thing. There's a gentleman that I listen to who is the author of Hidden Colors, a documentary that I'm always pushing. If every Black person sees Hidden Colors, the world would change, because you'd learn about yourself before slavery. You learn about your history before slavery, and that's what's most important. Your back will get erect. Your neck will get high, and you'll begin to walk in the greatness of which was stolen from you. That's why they call it hidden. Julius, can we get another comment? Yes, Bernard, it takes all of us. It takes all of us. We don't have to put the weight on one person's shoulder. The gentleman who is the author of Hidden Colors, like Dr. Umar, who was raising money for his school, he purchased the 2 schools, but it's not quite open yet. But this young man's name is Tariq Nasheed, and he saw how the music industry was trying to take away hip hop from us, and including other races. Now, nobody's not saying that they were there, but you can't take that away from us. That's from our culture. That's a Black thing, hip hop. So he said, listen, guys, I'm serious about this. If you support me, let's keep that thing up there. If you support me, if I get $1 million in 30 days, I'll match it and I'll create a film. And he did in 30 days. And I committed to it a little bit too. Not a whole lot, but it only takes a little bit of us to get that done. And he did. What are 3 signs of mental health? Whew. There are many signs of mental health. They call them features. Feature normally we think of as a good thing, but feature just means it appears. It appears, right? Whether for my illness, my condition, my disorder, hopelessness. I have suicide. That's why the government shut me down and said medical disability. Once you have suicide that enters into the picture, the government takes that very seriously. I, at 58, have had suicidal ideations my entire life. I can't think of me not having them. Lori, what is a suicidal ideation? We know what suicide means. Ideation, an idea that penetrates your thought process. Thankfully, I'm strong enough, and my life insurance won't cover it. I'm strong enough, and I have a strong enough foundation and family and resources. And I just was introduced to a great doctor who tested me a couple weeks ago. And he said, why hasn't anyone caught this? Why hasn't anyone caught this? Perhaps I never went to a doctor who looked like me, some female. But the anger and disappointment I saw in him, nobody caught this. So now Even though I'm aware of those features, uh, Bernard, and one of the three I mentioned for myself is hopelessness, well, two of them, and suicidal ideations. Once I came into awareness, which is key, not just someone telling me, not an ex-husband calling me an asshole and this is wrong with you and that is wrong with you and why do you behave like this? Why do you act like that? Boom, 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 boom. Not that, because that's never going to work. It's just going to go like this. They're yelling, you're yelling. They're yelling, and guess who's going to win? The person that's most unstable. Excuse me. So look for signs like they pull away. They isolate themselves. Girl, dude, where have you been? This was the best party the so-and-so had. They're normally the life of the party. I can show you in my yearbook where I won most funniest. My father, funniest man I've ever met in my life. Robin Williams. I can go through a list of comedians who have ended their life because it was just too heavy. You go, but they made the whole world laugh. I've been doing this for years. I enter a space and people want to hear laughter. They want to hear jokes. They want to hear stories. They don't know 2 weeks ago, I couldn't get my face off the floor. That's how deep mental illness is. We don't have much time. Isolation, hopelessness, feeling like they're not worthy, wishing that they weren't here anymore. Harm, self-harm, cutting, even things like overeating is a form of abuse, even self-soothing. Watching a certain TV show or a movie over and over and over again, because in your mind, it brings you to a place of comfort. Even though it's a waste of time, the story is not going to change, but it brings you to a place of comfort. I remember, and it's not her fault, she just didn't know. I wasn't feeling well. I wasn't medicated, wasn't diagnosed, any of those things back then. And I was on my way home to North Brunswick, but I wasn't feeling well and I wasn't feeling stable. And I went to my sister's house because I needed to change the frame in my brain, in my mind. And I remember talking to my mom a day or two later. And again, it's not her fault. She didn't know, because this was a lesson for my entire family. When it came out and I was diagnosed and I accepted it, it was a learning curve for my entire family. But she said, you shouldn't have did that. You know, she got to go to work. Boom, 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 boom. And I didn't have the strength, or I would have broke down crying, but I didn't have the strength to say, Ma, I wanted to end my life. And I did. I wanted to, but I didn't. So you all get to have me. Cheers. Sometimes the laughter is what we need, again, to change the frame in our minds and in our brains. So I want to go back to something. If you can send me another question, please, Mr. Producer. I want to go back to something when we talk about the things that are mental illness and pain and trauma that's trapped in our DNA. Right now, the topic of reparations is in the air, right? Neither candidate is really dealing with it. But if we were ever granted our 40 acres and a mule, whatever that looks like in today's dollars, and if they said, Cozeee, we're going to call on you and ask you how we should divvy up this money, I would say, of course, education, property, because you could feed yourself on your property, and therapy for the rest of our lives. Every Black person, I don't care if you were privileged, it's in our DNA. the trauma of lining up your family, putting the boys first, quartering the husband. By quartering, I mean there's a certain company, I will not call names, that their logo is two horses pulling something, showing the strength. Well, quartering a man or any mammal, I would imagine, arm, leg, to a horse, whipping the horses that are going to go in opposite directions. That's quartering. So, whatever our men or even women were accused of, they had to teach the boys this is what's going to happen to you if you don't do, or if you do A, B, C, or D. Now, imagine seeing those images. Imagine being on the transatlantic slave, beautiful cruise that they put us on, right? And someone dies. There's no hospital on the cruise. That body's going over. They said that there were sharks that will follow these slave ships on purpose because they knew it's going to be a smorgasbord, right? What about the wonderful slaves that I probably would have been with my mindset? They knew they weren't fit to be a slave. So they would throw their children over and throw themselves over. At the end of the movie, Black Panther, he said something like, leave me with my ancestors that knew they weren't fit to be a slave and that walked right back into the water. Leave me with them. And that's taking your power back. You may say, but you're going to die and leave your family. No, I'm not fit to be a slave. No man is fit to be a slave. Nope. So anywho, we're getting close. Mr. Producer, can I have another question? Please, please send in some questions, some thoughts, some encouragement. This keeps the show going and it allows you to have an interactive thought in this space. In the meanwhile, a question, 2 questions, because we touched on mental illness tonight. And thank you, Bernard, for those questions, because sometimes, even though it may make me sad, it reminds me of how far I've come. You all see, the funny, lighthearted Cozeee or the passionate Cozeee. That's really who I am. Super duper passionate like my dad. We believe in something, you too, Bernard. You really stand by it 10 toes down. But one of the questions I learned and wrote down is, what are you willing to die for? I'm not talking about suicide or anything like that. What causes, besides your children, are you willing to die for? Are you willing to die for anything that brings most of us to justice? Our justice is always going to be challenged. Always. The closer we get to it, the harder they're going to want to come up with something to break that. Why are you still alive? What keeps you alive? What keeps you going besides your children? There has to be a cause or something. Those questions are for you. Bernard, stop. Y'all forgive me. I'm not supposed to use the word but I'm sorry. Forgive me if I ran out of material. I have plenty of material actually. On the show that I do on Wednesday, and I hope you all tune into that we do on Wednesdays. It's called The Rabble, and it's just a group of unruly people just discussing things. And now that I'm there, the majority of them are Christian, and all of them are Democrat. I am neither. So think of The View. All of the women are Democrat except that one seat. Their left, our right. That is the Republican place. And that person tends to get not beat up, but beat up a little bit. Well, that's me on the rabble, and I'm constantly defending my position on not really engaging in those two institutions. I really and truly believe that religion and politics, or politricks as I like to call them, are not, because at one time it was, are not designed for our freedom, for our justice. Not. It's no secret today that our people in Africa, although it was called Al-Kebulon, that's its original name. After that, all of Egypt, all of Africa was called Ethiopia, the entire continent. Now we know it as Africa. There was no such thing as religion over there. We had spiritual systems. We had ancient spiritual systems. There was no such thing as religion. There's no denomination of anything. We didn't need that. We had the strength to believe in each other, to believe in not a sky daddy that we couldn't see or rely on, but something that is in the sky that's ever present, even when it's cloudy, and that is the sun. That's how I saved a lot of my insurance, by changing one letter, the S-O-N. I took it back to the S-U-N. Right? When we talk about Amin Ra, that's where the word Ray comes from. Ray. So when people say, well, Lori, you're not a Christian anymore. What are you, Jehovah's Witness? No. Well, so you 5%er now? No. Well, then what are you? Cozeee. Or if it's my people, Lori. You got to believe in something greater than yourself. I do. The same thing the earth does, the wind, the sun, the water, the earth. The same thing it worships is what I worship and honor. And also my ancestors. I don't need anything with the ceiling and walls to confirm my belief in anything. I just don't. So that's how I save some money. We're getting close up on time, everybody. Bernard, I missed your question. Republican, Democrat, we know it's for our kids. We know that. I just don't believe that once Black people were allowed to vote, not just allowed, because if you weren't a property owner, you weren't allowed to vote. Even though slavery was over, you had to have land in order to vote. But listen, guys, here's my last quote for the night. The show is over. And my quote is this: culture eats strategy for breakfast. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. Let that wrap around your brain. Bernard ends the night by saying, TV, I know what you need. I missed that first quote. It flashed too fast. But y'all listen, be good, listen, learn, and teach. The more you know, the more you can pass on. Okay? I'm sorry for the tears, but they were healthy, triumphant tears. And hopefully my story, you can use it, my testimony, to allow other people to be free enough to talk about depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, any kind of psychosis. And psychosis only means when you have a lapse of reality. That's all it means. I learned that from Judge Judy. Are you psychotic? Well, I'm not, but that's all it means. A permanent or temporary loss of reality. So yeah, there we go. Love you guys. Mwah, mwah, mwah. We hit our 1 hour mark. Let's go take a commercial break. We're out of here.